We're here at Morrill Companies, and we're out here in the warehouse where they keep a lot of their seed and fertilizers. What we're going to be talking about out here today is soybeans and seed corn, and that's what you see in the bags behind us here. So we're here with Brandon. He's going to let us in on some information here. And Brandon, we were talking earlier with Nathan about what's going to be planted in our fields out there with the soybeans and corn. Can you maybe tell us a little bit about the corn that we see here, or the corn that's going to go into our plot?
Yeah. Basically what we got here, this will be the corn that's in the plot that you're going to see throughout the rest of the year, but this is what's in basically every field out there. Different brands, different varieties. This particular variety is a GMO. So this has traits in it, and this pioneer corn here has a seed tag on it, and it lists what traits, what genetics it has. It lists the variety, seeds per pound, kernels in a bag. This is all the information that a grower would need for planting, to make a decision about planting and to know which variety is going in the correct field. When we sat down with Nathan and selected his varieties, we took a look at what traits he wanted, what insect protection he wanted, what can we do to limit the amount of insecticides and so forth that is needed to keep that crop safe if there happens to be an outbreak of insects. And depending on what that is, there is a seed out there for it. And that's what we see here.
And Brandon, you just mentioned the term GMO. I'm sure a lot of you folks have heard about GMOs in the news and different media outlets. GMO is a genetically modified organism. Now, just because we use those acronyms doesn't necessarily mean that that is a bad product. Brandon, can you tell us a little bit about the difference between a GMO and a non-GMO plant variety?
Yeah, basically, the easiest way to put it is that non-GMOs are conventional, traditional type grains, things that haven't been manipulated in any way, shape, or form, and GMO is. GMO is not a bad thing. There's a lot more marketing concerns and things like that around the GMO varieties, but in turn it is to become a better steward and be a little more environmental friendly, because the amount of treatments and things like that on this seed corn is way less than you would ever have to apply if an outbreak should occur. So in turn, I mean, the insecticide usage is dramatically reduced.
And when we talk about treatments, what we're really talking about is the amount of insecticides or herbicides that need applied in order to protect the plant. Basically what they're doing is they're selecting plant varieties and using the genes in those to adapt that plant to better survive in any given environment and to have less input costs to make that plant healthy and to produce the product that we need to in the end. So, Brandon, is there any other advantages or disadvantages to the GMOs or anything that these folks need to know?
No, it is actually a field-specific selection, so I can't stand here and tell you that one thing is better than the other, because we go field by field with our recommendations. So what may be good for you may not be good for me or the next guy. So
very good. And as we talk about corn and soybeans, these products aren't necessarily what's going directly into the human food chain. Most of this product here that we're looking at and that we'll be growing will go on to be used mainly in livestock feed or even in ethanol production. Now, Brandon, we're looking at a bag of corn here, or a stack of corn bags, I guess. How much does one of these bags of corn weigh?
One of these bags of corn can weigh anywhere from 42 to 62 pounds, depending on the kernel size and other things that are involved in that seed. But this bag, for an easy visual, will plant 2.5 acres of corn. So that's an easy way to figure.
And for those of you folks that don't know how big an acre is roughly about the size of a football field. So with one bag of seed corn, they're going to be able to plant basically 2.5 football fields in area.
That's correct.
And Brandon, how much will a bag of this seed corn cost the farmer to be able to put it out in the field and raise a crop?
Yeah, this seed has come a long way from the way it used to be. We mentioned in a previous clip how the the traits have evolved and the seed treatments have evolved to reduce the amount of insecticides or things like that are applied to a crop acre. So this particular bag of corn will typically run a grower $250 to $300 depending on what it is. So they got quite an investment to get the right product on the right acre.
And because this is such a large input cost, it's very important that we manage the cost of the rest of the inputs, such as pesticides and fertilizers, so that farming can still be profitable to your local farmer that you see out here working in the field. Now, next to us, we've got a stack of soybean over here. What can you tell us about the soybean that we're seeing here?
This particular bean is a Roundup Ready soybean. This is a new variety of soybeans. This has got increased genetics and plant health. It's the Pioneer Y series bean. All the companies are coming out with new beans and new genetics. How much more can we pack into one bean seems to be the thing. And we used to plant 2 bags to the acre. Now we're planting 1.2 bags units. So you can see over the years we've actually cut the seeding rates down quite a bit, and we're producing more bushels than we ever have, planting a considerable amount less seed. So things are working. Things that are being changed are working.
So agriculture, the technology in agriculture is progressing just as quickly as everything else that's out there in the world. You know, anything from the sneakers that you wear on your shoes to the television set that you have on your wall, agriculture is moving at an incredible rate. And it's all for the benefit of not only our farmers, but the consumers that use those products. Thank you very much, and tune in again to Follow Farm.